everyone, welcome back to the next episode of the Chatterjack podcast with me, your host, Lindsay Gray, and I'm joined today by three wonderful guests, and we're going to do quick introductions and we'll get straight into it. So I'll start with you, Alex.
My name's Alex. I'm a civil engineer and a passionate STEM outreach advocate.
I'm Ellie, I'm a student at the Energy course UTC.
I'm Melody and I'm also a student at the Energy course UTC.
Morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us, ladies. Thank you. And I'm just going to hand straight over to you. Have you got some questions? Do you want to get straight into quizzing Alex on all things career related?
So you've got your book about, is it Kiki?
Yes.
What was the motive for it?
So, as a civil engineer, I have always found that it's really interesting and I really enjoy going into schools, teaching young children about engineering and different ways that they can use engineering skills that they learn at school in careers as they get older. I've gone into schools and I've worked with children of all ages, and I really enjoyed working with the younger children. I just think it's the great time to get them interested in STEM and learning about different jobs that are available to them when they're older. And the reason that I decided to write the book is because I saw it as an opportunity to encourage children and get them learning about STEM even younger. So this is before they go to school and start learning STEM skills and curriculum, obviously. And really, it kind of started as an idea, something to do for my own children, in particular my own daughter. I came up with the concept. I drew some very amateur images, shall I say? I still use it. And the idea was that I just made it into a book for her, and we could read it at home and discuss different careers and sort of spark the interest for STEM skills. As I started to show some people in the industry the book, a lot of people said to me, "Can I have one for my kid? Can I have one for my kid?" And it just kind of snowballed from there, really. I thought it was a really good opportunity to open it out for other people to have and read for their children as well. So I decided to self-publish it on Amazon, and so far it's been really good. I'm really pleased with how it's been received, and yeah, the children seem to be enjoying it, so win-win really.
So is it like being an engineer, obviously it's a very heavily male-dominated field. How does that like relate into your work?
So you are correct. Engineering is generally a male-dominated field, and I think that's one of the reasons that I enjoy going into schools. So I can be a visible role model for any young girls, young women who are looking to move into the engineering sector. And my biggest passion really is that I don't want girls to come into the engineering sector to fix the gender balance. I want girls to come into the engineering sector who are genuinely interested in working in STEM jobs, and I want them to feel comfortable knowing that that is a choice if they want to make that choice. And I want them to feel comfortable working in teams and feel like they belong, because they absolutely do. But as a woman in engineering, I do understand what you're saying. And when I went to university, there was 100 of us on the course, and I was one of 10 girls there. So it can be a situation that maybe takes a little bit of getting used to. But I am seeing real positive changes, and our team up at Momentum, especially the civil engineers, there's 4 women who've been there kind of roundabout since when I started, and we've recently took on another 2 female graduates. So as a civil engineering team, we do fantastic really with the gender split. I always enjoyed maths and physics, and I like solving problems as well. So when I was looking into different careers, civil engineering kind of does encompass all of this. And I don't expect people to know what civil engineering is, because in all honesty, when I took it, I didn't really know either. But one thing that somebody said to me, and it stuck with me, was civil engineering opens doors. So if you get your qualifications in civil engineering, there's so many things you can do with it. if you don't want to work in civil engineering, I went to university. Some people who are now lawyers, bankers, work in finance and things. It's a course which gives you such a good, well-rounded education, and it proves that you're capable of learning lots of new things. So even if I kind of thought, well, if I go, it sounds like something I'd be interested in, but if I do the course, come out of it the other end and I think, actually, that's not for me, then it's still a it's still a qualification which could open doors for me.
What do your daily basis look like working do you job that you do now?
Well, the thing is, as a civil engineer, we work on so many different projects, so we don't really get a kind of standard day-to-day of this is what the job looks like. But we kind of tend to work project to project. So we'll get given a project, say, we've got a handrail that needs replacing on site, it's kind of fallen to pieces, and we want you to go and we want you to fix the problem, essentially. So we'll get kitted up with our PPE on, hard high-vis. We'll go to site, we'll have a look, see what the issue is, take some photos, take some measurements, write down anything that we need to, and remember when we get back to the office. And then we'll start put together a design. We'll maybe get some CAD technicians in to help us do a drawing. And we will use maths and science to prove that the idea that we've come up with is safe, is suitable, and will solve the problem. And following this, we will give our design to a team on site who would then go and they would build the solution that we've given. And in theory, we would go and we would check that everything's been done as we intended and everything works. So project can last anywhere from a few months to a few years, depending on obviously the complexity of the problem that we're going to solve. But yeah, there's definitely a mixture of going out and about, seeing things in real life, and then being in the office.
What do you travel up with the job for now?
There are option is to travel with a civil engineering degree or any engineering degree really. There's jobs that can be done down the country. We can go abroad and work. I personally like to stay at home because I've got 3 young children, so I don't see myself relocating anytime soon. But I think that's the beauty of the job really, is you can stay at home and work in this area, and you can go away if you'd like to. But one thing I would like to say is, if you do an engineering degree and you would like to stay at home, we are crying out for engineers in this area. So please don't go too far if that's something that you want to do.
Do you find it harder having young children especially to like fulfill your job but maintain like a higher standard, especially like work hours and long projects and stuff?
Absolutely. I feel like I've had a bit of a career shift since I had children. I was working full-time in the office all the time because this is pre-COVID, and I had my first child in 2018. I went back to work after my maternity period, and it was hard. It really was hard. I reduced my hours, but I was in the office from sort of 7:30, 8 o'clock till maybe 4:30 in the afternoon, and it just meant that I needed to be very, very organised with my time. I thought, when I get here, I'm getting my jobs ticked off, I'm getting it done, because I haven't got time to mess about. You know, if I had to leave early for the school run or whatever, I was like, I need to get it done, I need to get organised. So I do think it really made me kind of better at prioritising the tasks that needed to be done and what order I was going to do them. Now, I think the industry that I work in is incredible with their work from home policies and flexible hours, etc. And I do genuinely believe now that it has revitalised my career, so to speak. If I had to go in the office day in, day out, and be there for a certain amount of time, I would have to drastically reduce my hours. And of course, having flexibility and being able to work from home sometimes is a massive, massive advantage. And I would, I don't think I would be progressing my career as much without that opportunity. just recently I've been working with a team that's been based down the country. So, of course, I've been doing a lot of meetings on Teams and things like that. So my need to be in the office hasn't been as significant as normal.
Being a STEM ambassador, what does that entail?
So I've been a STEM ambassador from pretty much as soon as I finished my course at university. I love going into schools and inspiring children to learn about STEM and the opportunities available to them. And it's really important to me because that's kind of how I was recruited into engineering. Like I mentioned earlier, I've always enjoyed maths, physics, problem solving, but it wasn't until I took part in a STEM scheme at Cockermouth School myself that I really saw engineering as a career that was kind of attainable for me, really. So I love going in, speaking to the kids, finding out what they want to do and giving them suggestions on how to make their dreams a reality, really.
Have you found working like going into schools and that can be sometimes difficult with like kids' behaviours and that?
Well, I mean, I've got 3 children home with Pakistans. And I generally find that the children at school are a lot better than mine at home. But no, and this is the thing as well, the teachers are there and they're there to support you. So if there's any issues, then they, of course, will step in because that's not what we're there for. We're there to inspire the children, teach them new skills that they maybe haven't developed in school yet. We're not there to police the behaviour. So if you were ever interested in becoming STEM ambassador in the future, you would always have the support from the teacher and when you're delivering your sessions. So we're there for the fun part and they're there for the discipline.
What advice would you give to young girls who are thinking about going into engineering?
I would say just be more confident about your decisions. And I've sort of always gone with the theory of if something scares you, do it anyway. And there's been periods in my life where I've been better at that than others. So sometimes I will think, oh, I really want to do X, Y, Z, but what if it goes wrong? What if it doesn't work? What if my idea, doesn't solve the problem? Or what if this opportunity that I want to take turns out not to be right? But recently, and I think this kind of touches on your last question as well, since coming back having children, I've thought, do you know what? I don't really like other people looking after my kids. I don't like dropping them off at daycare. So if I'm going to do that and come into work, I want to make sure that what I'm doing is something I enjoy, something I'm getting pleasure from doing, and I feel like it's time used wisely. So yeah, like I say, I'm open to as many opportunities as possible and I'm willing to try new things. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I would certainly say if you're thinking about a career in engineering, then have a look, see what you think, and if you're keen on it, then go for it.
So when you go to schools and like talk to children and that, do you advise them to go a more traditional route or apprenticeships or?
Good question. Yeah, that's a good question. I always think it completely depends on the person. When I was thinking about my career choices, I wanted to go to university. I wanted to live away from home. I wanted to kind of find my own feet in the world, shall we say. But if I was to make the decision today, I maybe wouldn't make that same decision. I would seriously consider an apprenticeship or a graduate programme sort of thing. Because back when I went to university, it wasn't as much of a financial burden as what it is now. I got to go to university, I think it was $3,500 a year tuition fees and then $3,500 for a living loan. So, if I were to go back now, I would probably make the same decision that what I did. Yeah. But if I was faced with the same financial issues, I suppose you could say, as what there is now to go to university, I'm not sure if I would make that same choice. I know that there's loads of amazing apprenticeships, especially in this area. And my company, Amenton, do a fantastic apprenticeship scheme in pretty much any kind of engineering that you may be interested in. We do a brilliant work experience program as well. So we get students from local colleges to come. They're in our office for a full week. They'll do a day of civil engineering, a day of mechanical, a day of cyber security, a day of health and safety, and at the end of it, they'll do a presentation on everything they've learned. They've had a little go at all the different kind of careers on offer within our company, and they generally leave with a much more rounded idea of what we do as a company, what we do as an industry, and they have a much better idea of if any of those careers would suit them.
Yeah, so I actually took 2 work experiences when your company was Jacobs. Would you find it's easier if you like have a contact with someone from doing work experience? Do you reckon it's a good way to like go in to get an apprenticeship?
Yeah, of course. There's lots of information available on the website if anyone wanted to take a look. But of course, like you said, if you've been and you've done the work experience, you might have an idea of what kind of career you'd be interested in. Yeah. And of course, if you've got contacts in that field, then certainly lean on them and pull out all the knowledge they've got, and then you can be more confident in any decision that you make for your career.
Do you ever find when you're working as civil engineers, like sometimes can be like teamwork and can be difficult if people have different perspectives on what should be done?
I personally have never had any issue with working in a team, but obviously I think with kind of any team-based job, there could be issues with personalities or maybe even ideas, really. I suppose it's quite a creative job in the sense of we look at problems and think, how could we solve them? So if someone has a different solution to you, then of course it might be a case of, well, whose solution's better? But I've not had any issues with that in the past, but I can certainly see how if someone's got an idea and they're dead set on, yeah, we're doing it this way, then you could ruffle a few feathers. But
what's your favourite part of the job?
I really like that I can solve problems, get a real good sense of satisfaction thinking that, oh, well, that didn't work, now it does, sort of thing. So that's a real satisfying part of my engineering job that kind of keeps me in the industry. But I do also get real satisfaction of inspiring children and letting them kind of know what careers are available, because it's so difficult. And you know, we put all these questions to students on what do you want to do, what are you going to stay home and do an apprenticeship, or are you going to go to university, or kind of what do you want to do when you're older? And like we've just said there, we still don't know what we want to do when we're older. Yeah, so I think it's really important to make sure that you make a decision based on what you're enjoying at the time.
And what you're good at as well.
Yeah, what you're enjoying, what you're good at, and what you can kind of see a future in. There's a fine line between just really going for it, thinking, oh, this is definitely going to work, and then finding yourself in a position where, oh, I haven't got a backup plan. But you don't want to be choosing a career that you don't love. So I would say that the advice that I would give is make sure you're doing something that you enjoy, that you love, that you see a career in, and in theory, if you're sensible about it, you will do well, and if not, then you've got a backup plan. You can always change your mind.
Have you ever thought, oh yeah, my career path's gonna be really linear, like I'm going to uni, I'm going to do this and that, but when you've actually gone through that path, has it ever like strayed away a bit and you've been like, oh, I don't actually want to do that?
That's a reality. It's a good question. I want to know what the next chapter looks like.
Well, this chapter, okay, so like I say, when I chose to do civil engineering at university, I still wasn't sure what civil engineer was and if I wanted to be one. I did the course, I enjoyed it, I thought, actually, yeah, I do enjoy this. So I finished university, came back and worked at West Lakes, and I've worked on a couple of parks up at West Lakes and developing my skills and basically just learning how to be an engineer, because there's always new things to learn in our industry. And like I say, I've always had a passion for going into schools and speaking to young children. And I just sort of thought, after I come back after having children, I thought, how can I do more of what I love, which is going into schools? So I came up with a few of my own workshops, and I went in and started delivering them in my own children's school, and they went well, and other schools started requesting them. And I thought, do you know what? This is a real brilliant mix of two things that I really enjoy. So I would say that I never really strayed from engineering, but I am seeing a potential to kind of branch out into more of an outreach and engagement type of role, as well as my civil engineering job. So yeah, to answer your question about the future, I would like to think that I could strike a balance between engineering and STEM outreach. And yeah, like I say, I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up, and I have no idea how I could make this work or if I will make this work, but it's something that I would like to explore. And even though it scares me, I'm going to do it anyway.
So have you ever considered, Jai, like going to school, have you ever considered like becoming a teacher of civil engineering or?
I would love that, actually. I mean that is, that couldn't really be a better mesh of the two things that I said I enjoy there. But I mean, it's certainly something that I would, if it was an opportunity, I would look into it. And I mean, your future's bright, but hopefully mine's too. Yeah.
We heard it here first, guys. We heard it here first.
But yeah, like I say, always do willing to try new things. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So I'm going to try and listen to my own advice. And yeah, we'll see what happens there. And who knows?
I should have said this at the start. I've known Alex a very, very long time. A very long time.
A long time.
More years than we care actually probably acknowledge. But did you know from school, when they were studying sort of maths and physics, and I knew that was where your passion was, that was what you were really good at. How did you go from, right, I'm good at maths and physics, to let's look into civil engineering? What was the bits in the middle? So you mentioned that there was the outreach program, but was there other bits that you were interested in?
It's difficult, really, because I look back on being at school and I had no idea what civil engineering was. I had no idea what any kind of engineering was. I thought a mechanical engineer was someone who fixed cars, which, by the way, it absolutely is not. So yeah, it's not like that. And I think that, well, my other potential career was to go on stage, but then I realised I couldn't sing. So, when I say like follow your dreams but have a backup plan, that was kind of an issue. I was like, I'd love to be in musical theatre, but that's not going to work. So so we'll do that as a hobby instead of a career. But yeah, I kind of just thought, look, I'm going to have to find something that, like you say, I was good at it at school, and I kind of knew that I wanted to do further education. And I thought, do you know what? I need to find something that encompasses all these things that I'm interested in. And my dad's friend, he is a civil engineer, and my dad had sort of mentioned to him, saying, oh, she likes doing maths and physics and science and whatnot at school. And he'd said, well, that is what I do at work, so she might be interested in that. And then it's kind of from there that I looked into civil engineering. And then I was influenced by the STEM scheme that I took part in at school. And because I didn't really have any other urges at the time, shall we say, I thought this is something I'm going to have to look into, and it's sort of led me to where I am today.
If you could tell your younger self anything apart from what you mentioned, what would it be?
I honestly think that you just really, really need to be curious in life. So ask questions, ask loads and loads of questions, and curiosity can find out so many answers to things that you might be interested in, things that you might not be interested in. Because even if you go and ask people, look things up. You maybe come across 25 jobs and you think, oh, well, that's not for me, that's not for me. But if you've looked into it and you know that, then that's something that obviously you wouldn't further explore. And if the more you ask, the more you talk to people, the more you ask what they do, and you're more likely to find something that aligns with kind of your values and things that you want to do in the future. So I kind of wish I'd listened to that advice a little bit more when I was younger, because I never really used to like asking questions. And I used to think, oh, is that a daft question? Should I, shouldn't I? But looking back now, I would tell myself to be more curious and ask more questions. And then that way you're more likely to get the answer to the questions that you don't even know you need the answer to.
Thank you. But we've got a tradition on this podcast, so we're going to get the spinny board out, and we've got a random question to ask you.
Right.
Here you go. It's like the Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah.
Oh, like give it.
We don't need to give our age away.
Oh wait, I need to give that again. All right, okay,
Right.
Oh, there we go. There we go. What number's that?
Question number 1.
Question number 1. Oh, this is interesting. I do actually want to know the answer to this. Who's your hero or inspiration?
My hero?
Or your inspo?
Do you know, one person who I actually really, really admire is Simone Biles. She was high flying, literally, doing her thing, winning loads and loads of medals, and obviously for whatever reason decided to take a step back.
She did.
She thought, nah, this isn't for me. I need a break. And she went off. She did, you know, whatever she needed to do in that time. And then she decided, I'm going to come back.
Badass.
Yeah, and again, that ties back to what I said earlier as well. She was probably terrified of coming back. You know, could you imagine thinking, oh, well, what if I come back, and what if it doesn't work, and, you know, what if I wasn't as good as I was previously? But she did it anyway, and she showed the world that she's a legend.
Have you watched a documentary on Netflix? I have. You've seen it as well? Yeah. It's class, isn't it?
So yeah, I think her kind of mentality and work ethic and determination is certainly something that I admire.
Love it. Love it, Iko. Thanks so much. Thanks for having you. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
That is our episode of the Chatterjack wrapped up. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.